Hi there, this is Linda and welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. In today's video, I'm putting together my Project Life spread for March 23rd through March 29th, 2026, and I'm working with the March Stories by the Month kit from Ali Edwards. Let's go ahead and dive right in. Or the spread that covers the week of March 23rd through March 29th. So getting towards the end of March. And so I'm going to be using the March Stories by the Month kit, which I have in this tray, along with a ton of ephemera I collected over the month to do my ephemera pockets. So I'm going to go ahead and lay out my photos first. Actually, I'm going to pull over my take a note. So this was actually last week. I'm pretty caught up in Project Life. And so I have in my take a note here my notes and everything about what happened last week. And this is what is going to guide kind of what stories I'm going to tell to kind of remind me of what we had going on. So I'm going to put this to the side. And if you are interested in seeing more about my take a note planner, I do have full flip throughs of that planner in my monthly journal and planner flip throughs. March has not yet come out, but it will be coming out. I think it's my next video after this one. So depending on when you're watching this, it might be available. So I'm working with the Stories by the Month kit. So actually I'm going to go ahead and pull out the kit. So I'm going to pull all of this ephemera. So during the month, so when I get my kits, I put them in these trays. I have 9 of these trays available on my shelf at any given time. And what I do is I leave the kit in there until I'm ready to use it, and I just throw ephemera in there as I get it throughout the month. And so it's all just kind of messily in here, but it's available for when I'm ready to put the spread together. So let me look at the products. I just want to move all of that out of the way so I have access to my products, and I want to see kind of what I want to do. So this year, the Stories by the Month kits are always including this card in a 4x6 size. So I'm making sure that the spreads where I use the Stories by the Month have a 4x6 pocket for that to be my title card. And then I want some other photo right here. And then let's see, this week we had a date night where we went to the movies. I saw the first steps of spring, or signs of spring in the yard. And let's see, what else do we have going on? I felt like, didn't I cut more photos than that? I have this one of Pumpkin looking out the window. Or maybe that is enough photos. We made burgers and fries. Here's our date night. And then I've been working on my craft room organization. So there we go. I guess that looks pretty full. So I have some space. I have another 4x6 to fill. So let's look through the 4x6 cards first. We've got this cute shape, but I see there's 3x4s that go with that, or there might just be the 2. So I'm just going to put those aside and see if I want to use them. There's this lined one, which honestly I don't love, so I'm not sure I'm going to use that. This is a cute pattern, which could be a background for something like this. You could do that. This is for 3 stories, but I don't know that I want those on a 4x6. We've got this today. And then this one goes with this one again. I think what I probably want here is this filler card. So I like this one. Then we got this one for journaling. And then we have our vellum pieces. Nothing in the universe can stop you from letting go and starting over. That one's really cute. I could see layering these 2 and putting them together. And then there's these every month, and I've been saving those for something else. And then for the 3x4 cards. So there's 3 of these each month. I've been putting those in my stories album. So I don't want to use those. Let's see. So what stories do I have? I want to talk about our date night. Let's see. I want to just use like my overall bullet point list. And that's pretty much it. There's not like, there were a lot of little stories this week, but nothing super big. I do really like this filler card. And then we've got, so I could talk about my craft room organization, which is definitely in progress at this point. So maybe I could put that, and then this one for a story. And then we've got these ones, these go together. So those are gonna go in my stories album, so not here. And then, ooh, I like that for that story. And then here's another one. There's a few more that go with this. So I think I'm probably gonna put these ones all together in my card organization. I don't actually have a space to keep 4x6 and 3x4s together, but I'm gonna figure it out because I feel like those would all look good in one spread. Embracing this season. And then we've got this currently. I feel like that would be good cut out. And then these lines. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with these other ones yet, but I wanna look through the other embellishments here and see what we've got. So I'm gonna put these ones to the side. All these ones that I know I'm not gonna use. We have these stickers. Okay, so we've got little tags. We have these guys. And lots of times with the die cuts and stuff, there's sets. And when I have a set like this where they go together, I want to try to use them all. And I think I could probably use all of these. I was going to cut that one out, but I don't know that I want to use both of these on the same spread. So maybe I won't use that and I'll just use that. I don't know. Let's see. So I'm thinking there, this could go here. Don't have enough photos. I have too many to put on all the photos, so we'll see what I'm going to do with those. And then there's these two cards, which I think, oh, there's actually 3 of these cards, which I could use for these spaces. And then there's these circle ones, and then there's the chipboard. So I have, thinking of pairing these together with some of these decorative ones. I have 2 of this for some reason. Maybe I could use that. And then this one for 2 little stories. And then I'll just put some white behind it. And then maybe I'll put these on those so that they're used up. So there we go. I think that that's a good plan. I'm probably going to want to pull in something from my stash because actually, maybe not, because I'm thinking I might want like a smaller embellishment, but I feel like these might look good. Maybe I'll staple them. And then I could see using these, but I think that might be too much. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and put you guys on voiceover. I'm going to adhere everything down. I'll put some white cardstock behind these or just white paper behind these so that they're not transparent, and make those 2 journaling cards, figure out which stories are going to go where, and then I will move on to the ephemera pouches. So let's go ahead and dive in.
Okay, so as usual, I'm starting with my title card. I use my rolling date stamp to add the dates on here. And I was originally thinking I was going to come and put like a dot or a line in between the 2. Normally I just will write a line there, but I was thinking I might put like a dot sticker and I completely forgot. So maybe I'll go back and add something, but it's fine as is. Then I'm going to start adhering these down. In these videos, when I'm working with the Stories by the Month kits this year, I have been making a conscious effort to use up at least one of the repeated embellishments. So this spread, I'm using up all of these die cut pieces that have words on them that look like this. And it was kind of a stretch. I had to put one on every single photo, I think, except for one, and also on 2 filler cards, but I made it work. And I'm happy about it. I really like how they look. I like the repeated element throughout the spread. And I'm happy that it's something I don't have to put back into my stash. I used my tiny attacher to adhere them to a lot of the photos. And now I'm moving on to putting together some journaling cards. So I think it might have been a mistake that I got 2 of this vellum card. I'm not sure if everybody ended up with 2. If not, and you wanted to copy this, if you use the digital, you could just print out multiples of this card. You also could just use a different patterned card. I think there were a few different patterns in the kit, so you could definitely do the same treatment on a variety of the cards. But essentially what I'm doing is I'm adding these, remember this, die cut pieces across the bottom with it hanging off the side a little bit. And then I'm adding another one of those die cut pieces at the top to kind of create a title, mostly because I need to use those up for this spread. And then the whole thing is adhered on a cropped down piece of white paper. I'm just using a standard white Epson presentation paper. This was just a scrap I had left from printing photos for my journal, and it's not as thick as cardstock, and I don't need it to be because it has so many things on here and it's going in a pocket anyway. I just wanted something so that it wasn't transparent anymore, so that you couldn't see through it to the card behind. You can see the one on the left-hand side of the spread just has a plain white card behind it, so it would have been fine anyways. But the one on the right, I'm not sure what's going to go in the back yet. I don't want to have to worry about it. So this way I'm just covering all bases. I'm moving on to doing my journaling on here. So I brought my Take a Note back over to see what I wanted to journal about. And for this one, I decided to journal about our Tuesday date night. My boyfriend and I had a kind of tradition a while ago of going to the movies on Tuesdays. I don't know if this is just a thing in our area, but Tuesdays is like discount movie night. So you can see a new release movie for, I think it's like $6 a ticket, which is super cheap for what movies cost nowadays. And so we go on Tuesdays and we just get dinner out and we spend some time in the mall because that's where the movie theater is. And we hadn't done it in a while. So I was just journaling about how we revived this tradition and what we did. And it was just really fun. And we saw Ready or Not 2, which was really great. So if you haven't seen it, I recommend that movie. Then I'm moving on to this journaling card. So this card is titled Around the House, and I thought that would be a good kind of jumping off point to tell the story about my craft room cleanup and the progress that I made this week. This is a project that I've worked on for a few weeks now, and I journaled about it in some of my previous spreads. So I was just looking in my Take a Note at previous weeks just to kind of remember what was done this week versus other weeks, so I don't duplicate what I've journaled about in my other spreads. And then that photo there is from that process of something that happened this week. If you are curious about my craft room or cleanup, I do have 2 videos up on my YouTube channel so far of my craft room reorganization, parts 1 and part 2. You can definitely go check those out. And part 3 should be coming probably later this month. This week that I'm putting together now, I was wrapping up a lot of it, and then I still have just a couple more things to do and to film just a final few things before I create or I finish off that video. So definitely stay tuned for that. Moving on to this photo here in this card. So this is a 3x4 photo, and it probably doesn't look like much. It looks like just dirt and my feet, but it is the very start of spring. So I live in the Northeast in upstate New York. It is super cold here in the winter. We get snow, everything dies. And so the first signs of spring are always super exciting to see those first pieces of green poking up in all of the dead. So that's what this is a photo of, the very beginning of my tulips coming up. It's just a little bit of green poking up. And if you look closely, you probably could see it. I'm not sure if you can see it in the video though, but in the photo you definitely can. And so I wanted to document that. I cropped out the here for this from the 3x4 journaling card, and I just cut them into strips, and I'm just adhering them on top of the photo, and then I put the photo on top of one of the 4x6 pattern cards, and that way this is going to go into a 4x6 pocket. I could have just put that 3x4 card next to my photo and treated it like 2 3x4 photo, like a photo and a card next to each other, which would have definitely worked, but I liked the layering and just making it look like something a little bit different. This kit also came with a set of die cut or of chipboard tags that have space for you to add journaling. I generally don't like adding words on top of chipboards, so things like this tend to linger in my stash, but I thought that this would work really well here because I wanted to add a little bit of journaling, that this was the first signs of spring, and that's why I was documenting it, especially because you can't really see it that much in the photo. So I stamped that on that chipboard, and I really like how that came out, so maybe I'll use the rest of those chipboard pieces on another spread using that same technique to add journaling to a variety of my cards. Now I'm moving on to see what I want to do in the rest of these journaling cards. The don't forget card I'm going to use for my bullet point list, where I add a list of all of the micro stories from the week, but I had this other journaling card to fill out, so I needed to think about what I wanted to tell. So what was another little bit longer story from the week? And what I ended up telling was the story of my cat's new automatic litter box. We got it in the end of February and we were having a lot of issues with it. At this point, I'm still thinking about returning it or, filing a warranty claim. I really don't want to because it's such a hassle, but it is having some technical difficulties sometimes, and I'm not entirely sure why. And the app is just not very intuitive because I get that it will have technical difficulties and jam. If you're not familiar with a automatic litter box, basically what happens is once my cat uses it, it like self-cleans. But when it self-cleans, he can't access the litter box. And it has safety in it so that it will freeze if it thinks he's approaching while it's cleaning, so it won't accidentally pinch him, but it thinks that he's there when he's not there, and it will freeze, and it will freeze for hours. And the app doesn't notify me that this has happened, so he just is without a litter box until I recognize that something has happened. So I get that a litter box, any automatic machine will have issues at some time, but why the app doesn't notify me that there's something that requires my attention is really a huge kind of oversight in my opinion. But anyways, so I'm hoping that I can resolve that. So this was journaling just about how that was going on this week and how my poor cat had an accident because it froze in the middle of the night and we didn't know. It was very disappointing, and I'm hoping, and so I deep cleaned it and did a bunch of troubleshooting. So I'm hoping that resolved it. At this point, when I'm doing this voiceover, I can tell you it did for a while, and now I'm having a few issues again. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, sorry to go on that tangent, but I finished up the spread, and now I'm moving on to the ephemera pockets. So every month this year, and I did this also last year, I'm including a 2x2 page protector in here that includes some of the ephemera that I've collected over the month. And this month I had a lot of ephemera. Some months I'm not that great at collecting it, but this month I had plenty. So I filled both the front and the back of this 2x2 page protector. I set these up in my video for setting up my album at the beginning of the year. So if you want to check that out, I will link it in the description box below. But essentially, I just added I have a vellum piece that has a 3 on there for the month of March. And then I'm just adding in all of these die cut or these pieces right now to kind of fill in all of the ephemera that I collected over the month. So I'm cropping everything down to 2x2. Some of them are too big to fit in one pocket, so sometimes I'm adding it into multiple ones. And then you can see some of them are too small or the wrong shape. So I took that 4x6 card that has the green lines that I didn't really like from this month's kit, and I'm using it as a base for some of these pieces of ephemera to create a 2x2 card that it will go on. You can see the green lines through a lot of it in some of the pockets, and that's great because even though I didn't love that card, I like seeing pops of it popping out because it is something, it does coordinate with the spread, and so it helps make this kind of coordinate with everything else. If you haven't tried these milk chocolate honeycomb candy pieces from Trader Joe's, they are my new favorite, so I highly recommend them. They're delicious. So anyways, I have quite a few things that I collected this month, which I'm super excited about because the past few months I wasn't very good at collecting ephemera. And in March, I really got a lot because we did quite a few things. We tried a new restaurant. We got some new home stuff. I got a new fountain pen. I got these Sismac drawers for my closet. And so I have the packaging from that. I saved the packaging from that candy. I have a movie ticket from our movie date. So just a lot of little things. And what I'm doing during the month is I have one of my trays that I store my kit in. And I think I talked about this in a little bit at the beginning of the video, but I just have that available during that whole month. So whenever I find something during the month that I want to save, I just stick it in that tray. So by the time I'm ready to put this spread together, there's a ton of random things in that tray that I can use for my spread. And I'm super happy with how this process has been working. This is the second year that I've done it like this. In 2024, I did something similar, but I did it on a 4x6 card. So I only had a few pieces, whereas now I have a lot more. In most months, I don't think I'm filling both the front and the back. I'm just filling the front and then I'm adding a few like pattern paper or something to the back. But for this one, I do have a lot, but you can see I'm putting more than one thing from each piece of ephemera. So it's not that I have that much, just a lot of pieces I wanted to save. I also added a few stickers from the kit, and that's just helping tying things together and make it just a little bit more interesting for some of the pieces that are a little bit more boring to look at on their own. That is going to wrap this up, and here's a look at that completed spread. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. And as always, I hope to see you guys all in the next one. Bye.